Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on NTV at 1 this Saturday. My name is Gladys Gachanja. A Kericho hawker now wants a Nairobi bus company held responsible for its staff for causing him bodily harm when they threw him off a moving bus. Now the hawker, who was or has since been treated for the injuries, accuses the bus company of failing to stop and let him alight. Police are investigating the matter.
For the last 2 weeks, Kennedy Ndungu has been spending his days at the Kericho District Hospital. His stay here a result of an incident at his place of work. He is a hawker in Kericho, selling his wares to travelers on buses. He says his troubles started when he was selling to a customer aboard a bus belonging to the Nairobi bus company that was heading to the capital city, Nairobi.
Akaingia ndani ya gari akapiga tu race na gari haikusimama hata ikatoka. Ila hali ya kutoka sasa ikakuwa sikutaka anipeleke mbali, nikakuwa nikijaribu kumbembeleza mimi ili aweze kunikanyagia kidogo nishuke.
He's pleased to have the driver slow down so that he could alight fell on the conductor's sympathetic ears at first, not so much for the driver.
Akaniambia ndio huyu anakanyaga, gari ndio inafika kwa bump, so kumaanisha lazima ikifika kwa bump lazima reduce speed kidogo ili miguu za mbele ziruke iendelee na safari. So akaniambia ndio huyu na ndio inakanyagia kidogo mimi nikiwa tu pale hata sijakuwa aware, akanipush. Akaniambia gari mkanya, akanipush. Sasa ile hali ya mimi nina niko na vitu zangu mingi, mimi nishtuke niko chini.
Kama iko karibu kuruka bumps na miguu ya mbele, mlango ikafunguka hii ya abiria, alafu jamaa nikaona mtu tu ametokea kwa mlango na direct ameruka. Kustukia jamaa ameingia kwa miguu ya gari.
He sustained injuries on the lower limbs, bilateral fractures on the lower limbs, and also some soft tissue injuries.
Now we are going with the investigations because there is a number who has come to record a statement, and the victim is still in the hospital.
His situation is now stable, but he is yet to be released from hospital. Investigations into the accident are ongoing with the view of taking action and getting Kennedy the justice he so much seeks. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
To Baringo County, a 14-foot-long African rock python has been rescued from Loboi village in the county and will now have a new home at a snake sanctuary at the Kabarnet Museum. KWS officials had to restrain villagers from killing the animal before safely capturing it. Meanwhile, in Majimoto village, a 2-year-old child has died from a snake bite, which residents claim was a black mamba.
This shed in Loboi village, Baringo South, has been home to an unwanted but not rare guest in this part of the woods for the last week. The 14-foot grey and black python was a star attraction for residents as KWS officers weighed it and made plans to transport it out of the area. The African rock python, which weighs about 80 kilograms, was sighted by the residents whose fear of the slithering reptile could have led them to kill the animal.
Wito wangu kwa serikali ni kuona tu jinsi ya kulete hizo snakes ama kuchunga wananchi vile wanakaa na kuelimisha watu jinsi vile watakaa. Hata kama saa kiangazi tunaona hatuna maji, we know most of snakes inaingianga kwa manyumba ndani, so we should be having a lesson tufunzange tukikuja hapa ama tufanyaje.
Before its rescue and transfer to Kabarnet, residents claim that the reptile was preying on their sheep and goats.
Wahusika wa kijiji hicho kule Marigat Loboi wametetemeshwa na huyu mnyama kwa zaidi ya juma limoja. Wamejaribu kumuua, lakini Mungu ni mzuri, amekuwa akihepa. Hadi leo tulipofika huko tukampata yumo katika kichaka na tukaweza kumrescue.
The museum officials say that they have a home for rescued snakes, which are used to teach residents more about the commonly misunderstood animals. Many have lost their lives in regions infested with the dangerous reptile in Baringo County, with locals calling upon the government to avail snake anti-venom to reduce death as a result of snake bites. Meanwhile, in Majimoto area, a 2-year-old child has died after he was bitten by a snake perceived to be a black mamba. NTV highlighted the plight of residents earlier this month on the lack of proper medication for victims of snake bites. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Over 30 families are now homeless after they were evicted from a 9-acre piece of land, public land in Sondu River area in Kuresoi North. The families were forcefully evicted and their houses demolished after they breached a 2-week eviction notice.
According to Kuresoi North Deputy County Commissioner Felix Watakila, the government ordered the removal of the families from the forest land they had illegally acquired.
Kenya kuna katiba, Kenya kuna sheria. Wale watatubutu kurudi hapo, tutawashika na washtakie kwa mujibu wa sheria.
The DCC added that the grab land is intended for churches, schools, dispensaries, chiefs and police camps.
Niko na karatasi, niko na parole kutoka kwa Ministry of Lands, Settlement, Lands Education Settlement Office kudhibitisha kwamba hii shamba ambayo iko karibu eka 9 ni shamba ya serikali ambayo ilitengwa na serikali kwa ajili ya kuimarisha maendeleo sehemu hiyo.
Kuresoi North Sub-County Administrator David Kimayo said that the government plans to bring in land settlement officers to verify not only the squatters but also the public land and structures area. Some residents of the area have promised to construct churches in a bid to help the government ensure public land is not grabbed. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
2 foreigners suspected to belong to the Al-Shabaab terror group have been released by a Garissa court. The 2, an Ethiopian and a New Zealand citizen, were arrested by the anti-terror police unit in Hagadera refugee camp, Dadaab sub-county, late last month and have been in custody for 11 days. According to investigating officers, Salab Warfa had changed his name from Ramadan Yusuf, which raised suspicion. Chief Magistrate Cosmas Maundu said that their passports were valid and they were in the country legally. Warfa is now demanding an apology from the police for his illegal arrest.
I came to Kenya for a holiday and I stayed in Nairobi and I was on my way to Garissa, and then I stayed in Garissa for a couple of days as I was just a tourist, you know. And on my way back, actually, from Dijapula I got stopped in Hagarbul, this place they call Hagarbul. And there was an officer there, he's a senior sergeant, actually. He stopped me, and then they asked me my driver license. I provide my driver license, and then he asked me my passport, and then I provide my passport. I told him, what have I done, you know. He didn't really want to listen to me. He just told me that, oh, you've been aggressive, you know, you're a suspect of terror.
Still on the corridors of justice, a Tanzanian national linked with drug trafficking will be remanded at the Shimolatewa prison for a week, awaiting the ruling on whether he will be granted bond or not. The prosecution told the court that the suspects were part of a wider network involved in the drug business and were a flight risk if released on bond. Detectives argued that a passport belonging to one of the accused was found in a room where heroin worth 30 million shillings was recovered, an indication he knew about the narcotics. Senior resident magistrate Edgar Kagoni heard that the accused persons committed the offense on March 16th at Regency Park Hotel in Mombasa. The ruling on the bond will be delivered on February 15th. Politics now. A section of legislators from Ukambani region have called on 3 Ukambani governors, that is Kivutha Kibwana of Makueni, Kitui's Charity Ngilu and Alfred Mutua of Machakos County to respect Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. The leaders also urged the 3 governors to work towards uniting the region ahead of the 2022 presidential elections. The leaders maintain that Kalonzo is part of a national political leadership of a country through the Building Bridges initiative brokered by President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga.
Who raises a figure against Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is the enemy of this region. Full stop. Governor Kivutha Kibwana, we invited you to Wiper na ukapewa heshima kabisa. Imefika mahali sasa wewe unajiona wewe ni mwanaume. The thing you can do today if you are man enough, resign. Resign, come a member of Wiper. Resign today.
This community, party leader, and the followers of this party have so much faith in you that you cannot afford to let us down.
Na mimi nitaongea na hawa ndugu zangu watatu na tuhakikishe tunaunganisha watu wetu, na kama hawatatusikiza, Makueni ni ya Wakenya wote, Kitui ni ya Kenya wote na Machakos. Hakuna mtu atatuzuia kufanya mkutano wa aina hii kwa kaunti yote ile ya Ukambani.
The Kenya Forest Service Board has interdicted 3 senior officials who are accused of assaulting journalists after chaos erupted during a community forest association meeting in Nyeri. In a video circulating online, a ranger was captured confronting cameraman Emilio Murithi and kicking him to the ground. 4 other journalists were injured as they covered the event at Narumoru Forest Station. KFS Board Chairman Peter Kenywa said the interdicted staff include the head of Conservancy Central Highlands Francis Kariuki, Nyeri Ecosystem Conservator David Monzia, and the forester in charge Narumoru. The journalists recorded statements at the Narumoru police station.
Jaribu kuondokea ile raia ilikuwa inapigana, nikae nyuma ya polisi. All of a sudden askari mmoja akakuja kanigonga kutoka nyuma, nikaanguka chini. Alafu nikajipata niko chini na jaribu kumwambia mimi ni media, akaendelea kunikanyanga nikiwa hapo chini. Na nikaumia mgongo, mkono na akanikanyanga mdomo sana kwanza.
The county government of Tharaka Nithi has commissioned 1,000 community health workers seeking to reach over 40,000 families across the county and make healthcare accessible to all. Speaking during the launch, Governor Muthomi Njuki, whose government partnered with the Kenya Red Cross to train the health workers, said they would also act as the country's ambassadors, or rather county's ambassadors, in ensuring universal healthcare.
Healthcare in counties has become a key role for the governments as they seek to make the crucial services accessible to all. In rural Kenya, the elderly still remain disadvantaged as they are unable to move from their homes to access healthcare in hospitals and dispensaries. The county government of Tharaka Nithi, in partnership with the Kenya Red Cross, has assigned 1,000 health workers in an effort to reach those in homes and cannot access health services. They say this is just the first phase.
Kama we ni mgonjwa na uwezi toka kwa nyumba, hauwezi enda kulima. Kwa hivyo ile mambo ya food security pia inapotea. Hiyo ingine yote itafaulu kama hii ya afya itafaulu.
The 1,000 health workers will cover the country's 15 wards assigned to 25 families per health worker. If situations are dire and need close medical attention, the Red Cross will be called in to take charge and take the sick to hospitals.
So we expect at the end of every week, of every day, tunapata reporting of the state of health from 100 units in the whole of Tharaka Nithi. Kweli mnaona kama kuna ugonjwa itapita nyuma kweli ama chini ya maji? Labda mulale. Nyinyi ndio goalkeeper sahi.
The health workers come in as volunteers but will be given a stipend. The community health workers will also be called upon to register residents for the county's healthcare program, better known as TN Care.
Wajir County Assembly Speaker Ibrahim Yakub is in trouble for contempt of court over failure to issue notice declaring the Batalu ward seat vacant. The Speaker defended his inaction, claiming that he was within the electoral deadline, but as Nuruddin El-Moge reports, he still has a court date.
Wajir County Assembly Speaker Ibrahim Yakub had 21 days to issue a notice declaring the Batalu ward seat vacant after certificate of nullification was served on 5th February 2018. The Wajir court served the Speaker a second and fresh certificate of nullification on 10th January 2019.
Watu wa Buna wako na haki kukuwa na kiongozi katika County Assembly ya Wajir. kotini imepatia watu wa Buna Batalu Ward fursa ya kupeleka mtu mwingine huko. Sisi kama viongozi tunatoa ilani kuwa spika ya Wajir County kupatia watu wa Buna Batalu Ward ile fursa kotini imepatia na declare hiyo seat vacant.
Wajir resident magistrate Amos Makoro said the election of Ibrahim Nur as Buna Ward County Assembly member was not free and fair. Friday morning, the election petitioner Hassan Jamal moved to court seeking the intervention of the court regarding the Assembly Speaker inaction.
And then we have been granted today that we have been granted the Speaker as to why he has not yet responded to the court order up to date. And his 21 days has already elapsed. So we came back today and we have been granted, we are supposed to be in court by 23rd of February to say the reason as to why he has not yet declared the seat vacant.
The court has summoned the Speaker to show cause why he has failed to issue notice of vacant. He is expected in court on February 23rd. Yaqub defended his action, explaining that he was within the timeline and awaiting notification from IEBC over the same. Nurdin Almoge, NTV, Wajir County.
Elsewhere, at least 300 megawatts of electricity from the Bogoria Silale geothermal block will be connected to the national grid in the next 2 years as the country continues its quest to increase the proportion of renewable energy in its energy mix. But as Victor Kiprop reports, the mega electricity generation project is already changing the lives of residents.
Silale area in Tiati constituency, Baringo County, has always been dry, remote and poor with low rates of literacy. But 8 years since the geothermal development company GDC began explorations in that area, fortunes are starting to take a pleasant turn for the residents as the area opens up to new investments.
Barabara imetusaidia sana kwa kuokoa watu wetu. Kuwa mgonjwa barabara ndio anaukimbiza haraka upate mali iko dawa.
Watoto yetu wamepata maji karibu, mali zetu wamepata maji karibu. Samani nyakati kama hizi, kama miezi hii, maji tunaenda kutafuta ng'ombe pande wa Lake Baringo. Watoto wanaenda kunywa nginyang huko maili mingi.
The Baringo Silale project is expected to produce up to 3,000 megawatts of energy, with the completion of the first phase of the project expected by 2021, injecting at least 300 megawatts to the national grid.
This is the first well to be drilled in North Rift, and it's opening a new frontier. We've been crying all the time that the cost of electricity is high, but if we are going to succeed, which I believe we shall, then we shall be able to bring down the cost of power, because geothermal is the least cost source of power.
According to the 2018-2022 Baringo County Integrated Development Plan launched in December 2017, electricity connections in the county stand at just above 9.6%. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Over the next 2 days, youth have the opportunity to be exposed to various vocations that involve technical skills at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. The exposure being given to the youth through the Ministry of Education's Department of Vocation and Technical Training is aimed at empowering them to become self-reliant in the wake of the reducing white-collar jobs worldwide. Alex Mwangi now reports on the growing prominence that the government is giving to TVET.
When we put out a job advert, our HR team tells us that they get hundreds of applicants, most of them showcasing 2 or 3 or 4 degrees and diplomas. But none of them actually have practical experience.
That is the situation that a number of companies in the technology space find themselves in, which compels them to spend more to retrain the new recruits. To address that concern, and in a bid to scale up the uptake of technical-based vocations, the government is ratcheting up investments in technical vocational education and training, TVET.
You need at least 10% of the population of a country enrolled in TVET to make a significant impact as far as artisans, craftsmen master craftsmen, technicians and technologists are concerned.
Even as we are talking about the Agenda 4, we already know to be able to build 500 houses, we need almost 350 different skills that we would require in this country.
In the current financial year, there's a 16 billion shilling budget for TVET. Safaricom's foundation is putting in 130 million shillings over the next 2 years in the TVET program to build ICT-enabled skills centers in different parts of the country. A 3-day exhibition with over 150 stands, dubbed Hands on the Future Kenya Skills Show, giving the youth an opportunity to learn about technical vocations more intimately, has opened at the KICC. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Well, time for some sporting action. It will be a steep learning curve for Andre Kasambungo as the second match as AFC Leopards' new coach will be against Kenyan Premier League defending champions. That's Gor Mahia as the arch rivals meet for the 85th time today in the much-awaited Mashemeji Derby. Now Kogalo, who have won the Derby 26 times, will be looking to the Ingwe's 27 wins in the historical emotional clash, with 31 previous matches ending in a draw. Joshua Makori is at the Moi International Sports Complex Kasarani and now joins us with the latest. Joshua?
Glado, niko katika anga na ardhi ya uwanja wa kimataifa Moi Kasarani. Hapa leo patachimbika kwa vyovyote, manake ni ngoma ya Mashemeji Derby, mechi ya 85 katika historia ya timu zote mbili. Kumbuka ni mechi ya saa 9 hivi na ya kwanza kabisa katika msimu wa ligi kuu ya kandanda ya Kenya mwaka 2018-2019 tangia kalenda ibadilike Yohane na mataifa mengine ulimwenguni kwa mujibu wa shirikisho la mpira miguu duniani FIFA sambamba na CAF. Hapa leo ni mechi ambayo kwa kweli kukupa tu historia kwa kiduchu ni kwamba Gor Mahia yuko juu. Ukiangalia takwimu upande wa AFC Leopards katika msimu siku za karibuni amekuwa kisuasua, lakini leo hapa Gor Mahia anaingia akiwa katika ubora kumliko AFC Leopards. AFC Leopards iko na kocha mgeni kabisa Mwite Kasambungo, raia wa Rwanda, amechukua mikoba kuinoa hawa chui, akiwa kwamba Hassan Oktay pia ni mechi yake ya kwanza ya Mashemeji katika uwanja wa kimataifa Moi Kasarani. Timu zote mbili zimekutana mara 84. Kumbuka Gor Mahia ameshinda mara 26. AFC Leopards ana mpiku kwa moja, ana 27, alafu 31 ni idadi ya sare wametoka katika hii derby ya Mashemeji. Hapa haraka upesi niseme na Opio hapa kwa sekunde kavanga la wanibia siri. Vini, leo mechi ina gani ya Mashemeji?
Ni mechi kali ukiangalia kwamba Leopards wanakuja baada ya kutoshinda katika mechi 3 zilizopita, na hawa Gor Mahia wana morali sababu baada ya hapa siku 2 zijazo wanaelekea kule Angola kucheza. Na kumbuka pia kule kuna Petro Atletico na Primero de Agosto pia ni derby, kwa hivyo hapa derby kule derby. Nafikiri ni mechi rahisi kwa Gor Mahia wakijipanga, lakini kwenye derby lolote laweza kufanyika baada ya dakika 90.
Kauli yake huyo Vincent Opio. Tutakuwa tunasema naye wakati kuwadia ndani ya Top Sport majira ya saa 8 alasiri. Kutoka hapa ningetamani niteme madini mengi tu, lakini kwa sababu ya muda narejea studio.
Asante sana Joshua Makori, clearly very charged even as he looks forward to that awaited Mashemeji Derby. Now still talking about some of the action to expect this weekend. Nyanza region will this weekend crown new Chapadimba na Safaricom champions in Kisumu in the boys semi-finals. Nyamira Springs will play Victory Strikers from Kisii, while Couriers Nyamaharag face Manyata Boys in the girls category. Manyata girls will face Kisii United, while Migori Education Center take on NCEOD Queens from Homa Bay. And NTV's Brian Otwal has been enjoying the action at the Moi Stadium. Brian, any winners so far?
Well, thank you so much, Gladys. Under the searing heat and the scorching sun here at the Moi Stadium in Kisumu, play has to go on, however, despite the harsh temperatures, as new champions indeed will be crowned this after the defending champions Plateau Queens and Umbek Red Devils in the boys category were bundled out in the group stages. But then play has to go on, and the girls finals are over. That is, the girls semi-finals are over and dusted. Already we have the teams that will be taking part in tomorrow's finals. We have Manyata girls who will be taking on Ndiwas NCED who are also, who after winning their semi-final, that is, they were Queens beating Migori Education Center 7-0, and a lady by the name Yvonne Ogada scoring a double hat-trick, that is 6 goals, and Asha Atieng scoring the second, that is the 7th goal. But then in the other girls semi-final, we had Manyata, who beat Kisii United 6-0 in that semi-final. And currently the boys semi-final is going on. This is the first of the semi-final between Nyamira Springs and Victory Strikers. Nyamira Springs leading 2-1 in that. And we'll be telling you much more of that already. We know that there will be new champions in this match, and there will also be other new champions in the final, that is in the national finals, after the defending champions, that is Platuku Queens in the women, and the Kapenguria, who are the national champions, who are bundled out. So we will also have new champions nationally, but then we'll be talking much more about this at Top Sport, that is later on at 2 p.m. right here from Kisumu Stadium in Kisumu. That is Moi Stadium in Kisumu. Back to you, Gladys.
Thank you, Brian Otwal, part of the Chapadimbe Nyanza, and he will be giving us more details, as he said, on Top Sport coming next. But for now, we cross over to other stories on the bulletin.
Niaje.
Battle is around the corner. Just when Kenya thought her tourism was looking up again, the neighbor Uganda unleashes a secret weapon. It's a weapon many can see, but it's perhaps used wrongly. The race to stay ahead is on, and Emmanuel Juma asks on Bullseye, which battle is easier, one where the opponent is real or one involving the unseen?
I am one of the people that you already know what I do.
This man is called Gakuyo, Bishop Gakuyo, and here's a declaration.
Nobody can fight better than a preacher, because we have fought fierce battles with the spirits and demons. We cannot fail to fight men.
But before we can start fighting the unseen, he has to deal with a real being.
There is a Kesa Sako, and there is a Kesa Gakuyo real estate. This is one and the same thing.
That's when he puts on his war attire, and he must have assumed what was ahead was child's play.
I am a man of Korah, man of growth.
So if the members don't see their money in a Kesa Sako, it's because somebody has fraudulently transferred the money to another entity. That does not bar the criminal law of this country from taking him accountable, freezing those assets. Just like all other crooks, other things are happening to other crooks who have transferred, NYS and all these other places. What is the difference?
Maybe he's thinking, if I can defeat the devil, who is Smunya?
I will not run away, and I am not ready to do so. I am here to stay. This is my land, Kenya.
Church leaders, people who have called us, and people trusting them because they believe, they are men of God, and many of them turn out to be conmen.
Gakuyo, the ghost buster, meets Peter, the rock. There was a time he had contemplated getting into politics.
We want now to come into the leadership so that we are able to point out the issues of corruption from inside.
And you'd make a good politician. Once in a while, one has to be adorned in sheep's clothing, Talking about politics.
Wewe kama huko tayari kufanyia wananchi kazi na jukumu lako ni siasa, piga about turn. Vijana niko nao wengi ambao wako tayari kufanya kazi.
Politicians, what are you gonna do?
Uhuru, I want to agree with you kwamba watu ambao wako katika ofisi wasifanye siasa. Wale ambao tunaruhusiwa kufanya siasa ni mimi mwenye nilianguka kura kwa sababu ninafanya practice.
How about you, William?
Rais amesema mchezo kando. Fitina kando.
Yes, he's just a politician, and because of that, people have been talking.
Nimeona siasa malumbano na story mingi. Pengine naibu rais sijui apendwi, sijui rais hajafanya nini, sijui mawaziri hawataki kufanya nini.
By the way, what has happened to the Tanga team?
Tanga movement is dead.
Don't know who is team Tanga.
And have you heard? Governors want more years.
I will not mind, but actually that is for Wananchi to decide. If Wananchi decides that we extend the term, fine.
We cannot go back to those olden days where a person believes he's the best in the world and must leave.
Oh, Paranya, this is going to be tough.
No, the council has not discussed that at all.
Old dogs don't learn new tricks. You are old in the job. 10 years is enough to do whatever it is that you think you can do for a nation.
Change gears quickly, Wycliffe.
I don't want to be saying that we are selfish. Yes. But if Wananchi want to discuss it, it's up to them.
Okay.
In Uganda,
cover women in the country compete for selection as the curvaceous beauty queen of Uganda.
There is no doubt anymore.
Those curves, they have a story. There is a story behind that.
The future of the nation's tourism is right behind a section of the citizenry.
Tourism begins with you.
Now that's a bold move. A move that's likely to have many eyes popping out.
Yes.
And they'll say, it's a Ugandan thing, you know.
We are going to show you what an endowed Ugandan woman looks like.
Kenyans, are you there?
Baby girl, dance for me one time.
Go Millie, go Millie, go Millie. This we can count on, and we dare tell the Ugandans, bring it on. Emmanuel Juma, Bullseye, NTV.
Your dose of Bullseye every Friday night and a repeat of the same on the 1 p.m. bulletin on Saturday. Thank you for your company on 1 p.m. We shall see you at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. for more comprehensive bulletins. But remember, stay tuned. The top sports team is ready to give you a lot more from the sporting world.